indeed there is a danger that is on campus. So that's the situation, and we're going to continue hearing from our crews and reporters on the scene. We're monitoring social media. We're hearing from students. We're hearing their concerns about classes that have been interrupted or are not even taking place today because of this threat on campus. But what we all hope, of course, is that perhaps this was some sort of misunderstanding, mistaken identity. We're all hoping that there's nothing taking place and nothing will take place. But until we know that for sure, we're going to continue to monitor that for you. Needless to say, many students and parents are concerned. We've been fielding a lot of phone calls and questions on social media from people just wondering if indeed this is a valid threat, a valid reason for concern. And those are the questions we're attempting to answer on live TV this afternoon as you watch. Tanisha Cordell is on campus at UTC, and what do you have for us, Tanisha?
David, I'm here on Douglas, right outside the library. Still active scene. Everything's kind of crossed off and blocked off here. You still see students, though, navigating through campus. I'm actually here with 3 freshman students here who tell me they were in class when this all started unfolding. Ladies, I mean, how are you guys feeling right now? What have you been told?
I guess he's in the Fletcher Hall, and they have it pretty much confined so that he won't get out or anything, but we haven't been told much.
You guys, like I said, when this alert came out, what were you guys thinking? I mean, right now, I just caught you guys just literally standing, trying to learn more. So what's kind of going through your minds right now?
Still confused, nervous. Yeah, we just figured out in like the middle of class, so no one really knew the real details of where his abouts were or where, anything.
Have you ladies been in touch with parents at all? Have they been kind of...
Yeah, I texted my parents and they were like, where are you? And just wanting to make sure that we're all safe, but we weren't on actual lockdown, so we were free to go wherever.
Well, what are your plans now? I mean, I hope you guys are taking caution, and like I said, they've been huddled with us since we've gotten on scene about 10-15 minutes ago. But what are you guys planning to do? I mean, heading home, I hope you guys are, like I said, taking this seriously.
Yeah. Our dorm is in West Campus right down here, and that's where we were headed before we saw all this. So, yeah.
Do you guys have any people that you know that are in Fletcher or in that area at all, just kind of taking heed to all of this?
I don't know anyone over there. I think they're all evacuated out of the building, but I do have friends that had a class right as it was happening, and all the classes were canceled.
Yeah. Well, David, like I said, pretty still active, and we're still gathering information, learning as we go. We'll be sure to pass that along. Back to you.
Thank you very much. And again, just to reiterate what we've been saying throughout the afternoon, we are not certain if this is a valid threat. We are not certain if there has been any sort of mistake as far as placing this person on or near campus. We do know that UTC is taking precautions. The Chattanooga Police Department has a big presence there. But again, no shots have been fired. No one has been identified as an active threat. We don't want to blow this out of proportion and hope there's no need to do so, of course. Grace McKenna is live also on the UTC campus with more. Grace, what do you have for us?
I am here with Shanna Howard, and she tells me she was in Fletcher Hall having class when they were evacuated from the building. Shanna, can you just, tell me a little bit about what you saw, what you heard?
During lecture, everyone received a text message pretty much saying that, we had a shooter walking from 8th Street toward UTC campus. So our professor got up and pretty much just closed all the curtains, and he put his belt around the door. And we were pretty much just on lockdown in the room. We had all the students from the outside come in to the room and stay with us until about 11:50 when it was about 2 or 3 cops ran in the building, and they were just like, you guys need to evacuate immediately. So we all just kind of got up and left the building.
What was your first thought?
I was really scared. It's one thing to see this on the news, but to actually be put in this situation is definitely, it's really scary.
Do you all feel like the response from the university was what it needed to be?
I felt in a way, maybe, I've heard that he was in Fletcher Hall, so maybe, I'm not really sure how he got from 8th Street within 20 minutes. We had all this time, and then he was in the building apparently with the rifle, so I'm not really sure how we allowed him to get into the building,
We do want to be clear, everyone, that the person who is in, or the person confirmed the sighting of a suspicious person at Fletcher Hall, we don't know for sure if that was the gunman or not, or the person with the gun or not. Shanna, just how are you feeling now?
Well, now I've kind of calmed down a lot, but at first, you know, we were all standing around a little bit worried, and all the students were kind of scared. But I'm just thankful that everyone is safe and no one is hurt. So,
Thank you, Janet. Back to you all in the studio.
Grace, if you can stay with me just for a moment. Can we get Grace back, please?
Oh,
Okay, yes, you'll stay with me
Yes,
just for a
David.
second. Have you heard anything from officials at UTC? Have they told you anything directly?
David, I have heard from Sean Ryan, who works here at the university. He tells me they're going to be doing some official information a little bit later on with CPD providing that information. But what he did tell me is that they feel campus is safe, and that's why they have only evacuated Fletcher Hall, because of that sighting of a suspicious person. He does tell me that the person with the gun and the tactical vest was sighted on 8th Street, which is not technically on campus. That's why the rest of campus has remained open. Again, he says campus is safe. He feels like classes can continue as they work to figure out this situation, figure out if the person who was spotted at Fletcher Hall is this person.
All right, Grace, thank you very much, and our thanks to our students there who are participating with us as well. Just to review, we are in the middle of a breaking news situation, and needless to say, there are a lot of folks who are concerned, especially parents and students, because they have seen and heard reports on social media, some of which are not completely true. And we hope that you know that the worst is not the case here. We do know that no shots have been fired. We do know that in this day and time, police take no pleasure in doing this, but they have to take every report seriously. They have to respond to every rumor, for that matter. And the sighting of the man who was carrying, as we were told by one report, a rifle and wearing a tactical vest on 8th Street near the UTC campus, they are making sure they're taking this seriously. That's near Fletcher Hall, and that's the reason that is the only building on the library, along with the on the campus rather, along with the library, that has been evacuated. And because we have 3 public schools within walking distance of the campus there, that's certainly another reason to be concerned. And in particular, Brown Academy, which is right across from the UTC campus, and also CSAS nearby on 3rd Street. They have what are being called lockouts, where the students are not being allowed to leave the building. The only description that's been given is that the police were actively searching for a white man with blonde hair, also a tactical style vest, in his 30s, perhaps 40, carrying a rifle and walking on the east side of the campus near 8th Street. Let's see what else we have here. All right, Police Chief David Roddy of the Chattanooga Police Department is going to be briefing everyone shortly, and when that happens, we will carry it live. But it is important to mention because, again, sometimes social media can be a blessing and a curse. And just a few minutes before I came on the set here, I saw a news outlet post something about an active shooter. That's not true. That has not been reported, seen, spotted. No shots have been fired. So anybody who saw that and was alarmed, I can't blame you, but we want to make sure to report only what we know as fact. And what we know as fact is there's a heavy police presence at UTC at this time because of a single report of a sighting of someone who appeared to be dangerous. And again, we hope this was all just a misunderstanding, but we don't know that for sure either. That's why we're keeping the cameras on. We're keeping in touch with students. We're searching for whatever information we can get from UTC officials and the Chattanooga Police Department. Now, the school is not on lockdown at UTC. That's something important. The students are free to roam, and thank goodness most of them have these devices and they can keep in touch with their parents and let them know they're okay, and we hope that continues to be the case. Let's go back now to Tanisha Cordell at UTC.
Parent Trudy Beck, she actually drove from Cleveland. Her son is in that library. She's being told that he's still not able to leave, though, like Grace mentioned, the campus just seems to be safe at this. You said you're nervous. Our hearts are pounding at this point, just waiting to learn more, right?
Right, yes, I'm very nervous. I mean, when your son sends you a message and says there's a shooter on campus, what do you think? I never thought I would have gotten that, message. So I've been going back and forth with him, and he's saying he's still on lockdown in the library.
Right, and you've been texting him since you
Yes.
left home, right?
Yes, he sent me a message this morning. There's a shooter at 12:01, and I'm like, I'll be there. I'm coming down, and he said, Mom, I don't want you to come down here. I don't want you to get shot. And I'm like, I want to make sure you're okay. Yeah. So, I just can't wait to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year is your son?
He's a freshman.
A freshman.
Yes, he's a freshman.
Wow, we've been speaking to a few freshman students, just
Right.
kind of roaming again, just
Right.
trying to learn more and figuring out what to do at this point. A lot of
Yes.
parents, like yourself, concerned. So
I'm kind of trying to figure out why they're letting everybody roam. I don't know. It's an odd situation. Very odd. But I'm glad it wasn't an active shooter. So, we're blessed in that way.
And you're going to sit here until your son
Yes,
is walking
ma'am.
out free, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be sitting here waiting on him.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Give him a hug. Yes.
Well,
yes.
David, like I said, again, still a scene. We're still waiting on that presser with David Roddy. We're going to stay right here and keep you guys all tuned. Again, parents, just keep in touch. We'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. For now, live in Chattanooga, back to you, David.
All right, thank you very much, Tanisha. And our Casey Freeman has been monitoring social media this afternoon, and we've just seen an announcement from UTC, which is frankly somewhat encouraging. Let's go to Casey and get more on that.
Well, that's right, David. Literally 2 minutes ago, UTC tweeted out a secondary alert. That's after an hour of the first one. It says a secondary sweep of Fletcher is being conducted. No suspicious person found. Fletcher was the only building searched at that time, and police will be on campus and throughout the evening. And now so far it's been up for 2 minutes, and 15 people have already retweeted it, and 17 people have already liked it. At this point, that's how you know it's a very big concern at this point. There's that tweet there on your screen. Now, many people were very concerned and anxiously waiting on this secondary update from UTC because they hadn't heard anything. Now, this has been commented on hundreds of times, and so people are pretty much glad to finally be getting some kind of answers. A number of parents have also got to social media just trying to get a word from their student. Maybe they haven't heard from them yet, and so they're just reaching out via social media, just trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So there's the latest information for you. David, we're definitely going to continue to follow this throughout the coverage today.
And I'm sure many people will look at that and say, okay, Fletcher is the only building searched. And I know some people will say, well, UTC is a huge campus, and that's true. But that's why police are maintaining a very heavy presence there this evening. They are not going to leave any stone unturned, and they're going to follow every lead. But it is important to stress, this was a single report of a person who was seen near the campus, reportedly carrying a rifle and with a tactical vest. Now that's enough to set off a lot of alarms, a lot of red flags, and that's why police cars responded so quickly, and that's why students were evacuated from the classes at Fletcher Hall. But we can't stress enough, no shots have been fired and no one appears to be in any danger, and we hope and pray that remains the case. Michelle Herron is standing by now live at UTC with more for us. Michelle?
Hey, David. So I've moved. Police have escorted us here to where Chief Roddy is going to be giving us an update as to what's going on. On our way here, I saw several officers in full tactical gear, wearing long guns as well. I'm told right now they're searching not only Fletcher Hall, but they're also performing something called a grid search. So think about it. A grid is a bunch of squares, so they're going to be searching the entire area here, everything that's blocked off with police tape, just like a grid. They want to go over every square inch. They're looking in alleyways, they're looking in between homes, looking behind bushes, trying to see if there is anyone matching that description of that person with blonde hair, walking around wearing a tactical vest with a long gun, or a rifle, I should say. I am told that anyone saying that that person was wearing a ski mask is not true. Police have been in contact with the one person who made this report, and he did not report that. So I'm told that the ski mask report is not true. It looks like Chief Roddy is going to be here any moment now. We should be getting more updates from him as to what's going on, but a tweet from UTC police said that they have not found any evidence inside of Fletcher Hall yet. They are still in there searching that, so this is still very fluid, very ongoing, and we hope to learn more from Chief Roddy here in just a few minutes. I'm going to toss it back to you guys there in the studio.
If you'll stay with me just for a minute here, you brought up a very good point in that when initial reports first come out, certainly it frightens everyone, and we have seen some incorrect reports on social media. And we heard a student a little earlier saying, he was told there's a shooter on campus or there's a shooter in the building, we've got to go. And we want to emphasize it's easy to sometimes stretch these things or misunderstand things. And like the ski mask report, that's just simply not true. So we want to emphasize the importance of trying to spread accurate information during a very difficult time.
And you know, David, you point that out. Even police that have been out here, when they hear students on the phones with maybe their parents or their friends, and even if they overhear that they're spreading incorrect information, they've been correcting them as well. I know that we don't have a lot of information. We just have that one report from one person saying that they saw a white male with blonde hair wearing a tactical vest carrying what looked like a rifle here or on near 8th Avenue, 8th Street. That was all that came through. Again, that's not a lot of information. We don't know why Fletcher Hall came into contact with everything. That's what police are trying to figure out. But when you get a report like that, it's best to treat it as serious as possible, given how sensitive that information is. And so that's what they're doing, and that's why we're not drawing any conclusions. They got a report, they had to act seriously, and that's what they're doing right now. So hopefully Chief Roddy will be here up in just a few moments. It looks scary because the reality of it is it is scary, but they're having to treat it as serious as possible. David?
All right, thank you very much, Michelle. That is quite a frightening scene when you see the police officers decked out in their gear like that. We can tell you that an additional police presence around the library, this is from UTC, is the result of police using the library temporarily to coordinate law enforcement efforts. An increased and visible police presence will continue throughout campus for the rest of the day and into the evening. So if you happen to see a lot of police officers surrounding the library, and you may think, well, you know, that may be where there's some activity going on, they are merely using that as a place to coordinate their particular efforts. And you know, we certainly don't want to discount any report that anybody called in or reported upon seeing someone suspicious. In fact, we encourage that. As we say so often on the news, if you see something, say something. Better to be safe than sorry. So we're hoping that this is no big deal. And we're hoping that in a few minutes that Chief Roddy can tell us that police have this under control and they feel the campus is safe. Until that happens, we know many of you students and parents and community members have concerns, and we understand that, and we want to take that seriously and let you know what's happening actively as we speak. Joy Dukes is live on the UTC campus, and Joy, what do you have for us?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Still here at the scene. We're at Douglas and McCauley, the intersection here, where it appears that officers are beginning to break down their scene. They had some caution tape up here, and you can kind of see them starting to leave. It looks like they weren't able to find anybody. They did 2 sweeps of Fletcher Hall, and they weren't able to find a suspect. Now, joining me here are 2 students here, Bailey Kearney and Kate Combs. They are students at UTC. You guys can go ahead and walk over here for me. How are you, considering the circumstances? Sorry about this.
I mean, I'm glad it's over, but it doesn't make me feel any better that they didn't find anybody, so.
Right. So you guys say you live near 8th Street. So what have you been doing? You're kind of like in a stuck place because you can't get to your dorms, correct?
Yes, we have been all day just on guard as soon as we got the email. It's been a little bit nerving considering like we are seniors and we never thought that anything like this would happen to our campus.
So how you guys are seniors, this is your last year here. I'm sure this has been just kind of jarring because they, as you said, they haven't found anybody. What are you thinking now? What's happening now? Have you gotten any alerts recently?
Well, I just got an alert that was just saying they didn't find anybody, but other than that, like I know campus wasn't locked down and classes weren't canceled that I know of, so it's kind of, I hope it wasn't as serious as they thought since they didn't take it very seriously, it sounds like, so.
So you guys weren't able to get home? Is that what you were saying that earlier? Kind of you live near where all of this was happening.
Nobody stated if we could go or not. We were just sticking around because everything was going on and we didn't want to cause any interruptions.
Have you heard anything from officers yet who've been packing up?
The only thing we've heard that it was just a miscommunication, but that's all they've told us, so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys for talking with us, and again, I'm sorry that this is happening to you, especially your senior year, and hopefully they figure out everything and can bring everyone some peace of mind here. But so far, like I said, they haven't located that person according to the alert that UTC sent out just a few minutes ago. So they are packing up now. You can see officers putting their gear back inside their cars. They're beginning to load up, and that group of officers that was over there just a little earlier, they have also dissipated. So it looks like they are clearing up the scene. They've put that caution tape down, and students are actually starting to walk back in the area. So I believe would indicate that they believe it's safe here. I'll have more details coming up later, and more talks with students coming up as well. I'll toss it back to you guys.
Joy Dukes, thank you very much, and thanks to those students as well. We appreciate their commentary on this. And as they say, just because no one has been found doesn't necessarily make them feel totally safe. And we understand that. It's a very difficult environment right now, and that's understandable. But hopefully, as you saw there with the police officers beginning to load up and open things up a little bit, we're taking that as a good sign. And we've been looking at that police presence at UTC. Now, Chattanooga police officers earlier this afternoon, this is about an hour ago, were retrieving guns out of their patrol cars, and we were told that one person told us that his name's Samuel, he was picking up his girlfriend on UTC's campus at Fletcher Hall, and he said that they were safe at the time, so that was good to hear. And the police officers were just being prepared for anything, because of these initial reports, or a single report that indicated there might be someone dangerous either on or approaching campus. So that was the scene about an hour ago, and you just saw from Joy's report, things have settled down considerably, and we're glad to see that. Casey Freeman, what do you have for us?
Well, David, I've been following social media, especially on Twitter, where it's very active with people just trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It still seems like there are more questions than answers at this point, but what we do know is that, like you said, they have done a secondary sweep of Fletcher Hall. They say if you still don't know where to go, as Joy said, that's kind of wrapping up in that area over there. If you still don't know where to go, head to or call the Dean of Students office to find out exactly where's the safest place to go on campus. Now, if you are a freshman and you're new to campus and don't know exactly where to go, that's at the UC. And a couple of parents are just commenting on their tweet, just saying that some classes have been canceled and others have not. Many students still want to know if they need to go to class, or if they don't need to go to class, is it still safe for them to go and walk around on campus? Now, there's also another person just asking a number of questions. Is there an ongoing threat? Is there a reason to the suspect is around campus? Will police be on campus or around campus all day? The answer to that last question is yes. They plan on being at the campus until the rest of the evening, until this scene is clear. Now, we do know that Representative Chuck Fleischman tweeted out earlier just saying that he's monitoring this situation, and he's just encouraging everyone here in this area to listen to local law enforcement, faculty, campus police, and that he just thanks CPD for their quick response. And he said he's going to continue to monitor the situation, as will we continue to follow this situation on social media.
Casey, thank you very much. Michelle Heron now has a report for us from UTC.
All right. Hey, David, police have just told me that the issue here has been resolved. I don't know exactly what that means, but Chief Roddy is literally walking over here as we speak, so we hope to learn more about what that means. But again, police have confirmed to me that the issue here on UTC, where there was a report of a white male wearing a tactical vest and a long rifle, that the issue has been resolved. Here now walking up is Chattanooga Police Chief David Roddy. He is going to be giving us an update as to what is going on, so just stand by for that. Hey, Chief.
Hello.
Everyone good?
Everybody's good.
All right, so what's
Chief
going on?
Chief Ratchford and I are both going to be.
Okay, and what's your name?
Bob Ratchford.
And you are the
Chief of Police at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga.
Okay, so who wants to go first? We were just told that the issue's been resolved. What does that mean?
I'll just kind of give an update. What happened today is we received a call in through 911, I believe, just reports of an individual that had caused concern, presented some type of threat. We had some reports of an individual possibly wearing a gun belt. There were some reports of an individual possibly carrying a rifle. So immediately, out of an abundance of caution, UTC police as well as Chattanooga police officers came into the area and began patrolling just to see what we could locate. Without any initial location of any suspects on scene, we started to try and work backwards from that to locate the individual that had called the complaint in. Eventually that party was located. We got some more first-hand information about what was seen and what they had initially reported. And what we determined at this time is it looks like a Chattanooga police officer at the end of their shift, wearing a full police uniform, had retrieved items out of their car and were walking towards their residence to go to bed. And Unfortunately, I understand the concern. If you see an individual, when police officers are armed, it caused a little bit of concern. However, that concern then moved into some of those unsubstantiated reports that caused greater concern for us. We received reports of the individual possibly wearing a ski mask. We had reports of the individual last sighted a considerable distance from where this initially occurred, and that expanded out the scope of everything that we're dealing with, and the understandable concern of where we are just in society now, of threats and fear for our safety, especially when you're talking about incidents of mass violence. Everyone responded with an abundance of caution, and at this point we've declared everything secure. We've checked buildings. UTC has done some of the building searches, walkthroughs, and the entire area around here has been walked through with Chattanooga police officers and UTC police officers. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, other law enforcement partners have walked the entire area to see, and we have not located any additional threats or areas of concern.
How did Fletcher Hall kind of become part of searching it?
That was the way Fletcher Hall became part of the search. That was one of the areas that we started to receive information, and whether those came in through phone calls or social media, I can't tell you at this point right now. It was an extremely quickly evolving event, but we had last reports of that individual, the suspect if you will, was last seen outside of Fletcher Hall. Knowing that that's not a residence, officers moved into the area and just did basically a search to make sure that if there was a threat, if there was an armed individual, that we made sure that we could get in there and address what was going on.
Is there a reason why, even though that building was evacuated, the rest of campus wasn't put on any sort of lockdown? That's why a lot of people are confused.
I was going to
Okay.
let Chief Ratchford address any lockdown or UTC-based questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, basically that was the only place that we had received any type of communication about there may be suspicious activity as far as any kind of location on campus. So that was the only place that was actually impacted. We did send out the immediate notification, the emergency alerts to the faculty, staff, and students, and anyone that's got on the text notification system that there was an incident that was occurring, and we would keep them posted. And when we started receiving the information that there possibly was a threat there at Fletcher, that's why we secured that specific area and evacuated that building. But at no time was any other part of the campus impacted, nor we received any information.
A lot of the students that were inside of that building were saying that their professors were closing the doors, bringing people in, kind of going into that lockdown status. Is that something that you guys go over with them?
We do. We go over with them whenever we have students up here for orientation. We go over with faculty and staff as well, what to do, what to expect from the police should there be a critical incident occur, and what the police should expect from you as well. We do provide training. We do go from department to department to talk to all the faculty, staff, and the students as well about what to do should a critical incident occur. And we're so thankful for the people who called in the suspicious activity, and we're thankful that there was nothing that came from this and it was resolved. Otherwise, at some point in time, if we were not to be contacted, we wouldn't know what was going on. So we appreciate the people who are actually reporting suspicious activity to us, and we strongly recommend for them to do that. It's a whole lot better to investigate something and find out there is nothing that has actually occurred than for someone to say, well, somebody else is going to call. We want people to get involved, to contact us. Like the saying says, you see something, you say something.
Does this change at all how you respond to reports like the one that you guys got today?
No, it doesn't, because we take every report, no matter what it is, we take it seriously. And so until we can find out otherwise that whether or not an incident has actually occurred, we're going to respond as if it were the actual event. So that's why we work in conjunction with Chattanooga, with Hamilton County, just to ensure the safety of all the students, faculty, staff, and the visitors up here at the university.
What was the game plan going into that building, not knowing what necessarily lied inside? We heard from some students that described some of the panic of students fleeing out of there. What was the game plan, and how did you approach going into that building, maybe not knowing what was inside?
Well, one of the things that we do, we also train as far as dynamic training scenarios with Chattanooga. We have had some of their officers go through with our officers on building searches, and should there be a critical incident occur. And we want to make sure that our tactics are sound and our tactics are the same, and that we all are working on from the same page. So as far as we have specific tactics that we train toward, and matter of fact, we just had training this past spring with Chattanooga Police as well.
I'm not sure who this is a question for, but just very simply put, was there ever a gun on the campus of UTC today?
Other than what the officers were carrying, not that we are.
Hundreds, but they were all controlled by law enforcement. At no point did we ever locate an actual suspect or anyone in an illegal possession of a firearm today.
And so I just want to make sure I'm clear. It was an off-duty UTC officer that was seen? Oh, off-duty Chattanooga. Okay, just going home after work.
Mm-hmm.
And any rumors of the basement of Fletcher Hall? Any rumors of a hostage in the basement of Fletcher Hall? False?
The fact that you've mentioned that in the questioning, I think illustrates the point of what we're talking about, kind of led to where we got to be today. The initial report was an individual dressed very much like Chief Ratchford walking down the street. And then that, because of concerns and the spread of social media and second and third and 10th hand information, led to an individual in a ski mask, led to hostages in a basement. We've dealt with this before. We understand the dynamics, but the dynamics also have real consequences. You had hundreds of law enforcement officers responding here today, getting pulled out of calls for services. You had, I could not imagine the number of loved ones, parents spread around not only the city, the state, and the country, having children attending UTC that were also put into a stressful, tense, anxious situation because of those, well, I heards. So while we do not in any way critique anyone for calling in something that they directly see that concerns them, the part that I think we should pay better attention to is what do we do with the information that we've heard from someone else? If that is so far removed from the actual incident itself, there's a pretty good chance it's not going to reflect what law enforcement, what first responders are being asked to respond into, and it changes the entire mechanism and dynamic of how we respond. You see today it went from an individual walking down the street in a full police uniform to what you saw here this afternoon. So while I don't critique individuals that see it themselves, I do ask people to pause for a moment and consider where their information is coming from and is it direct? Is it something that is actually touching the incident before they pass that along? Because it does create real fear. It may not create a real threat, but it creates real unnecessary fear for individuals that were worrying about their children today.
It's a great point that you just made. What would you like to see the public do differently in situations like this?
Go to the sources that you trust for that information. Go to the police department where you live or where your children are at. Get on their Twitter feeds. Go to your local media outlets and trust what we are getting to them as quickly as we can to help streamline and focalize what we're doing with that information as opposed to just pulling it off of your friend's thing or what you heard or a phone call to a phone call to a phone call. I don't believe any of these are made maliciously, but they do cause distractions when we're designing the plans to respond to these incidents, and it makes us less effective, and it makes fear grow past what that situation may truly look like.
So I talked to several UTC students, and they said they weren't, I guess, pleased with how the university, they felt like they were kind of kept in the dark, they weren't being informed quickly. What do you have to say about that?
As far as the text notifications, whenever we had an update, of course everything takes a certain amount of time. We want to make sure that everybody stays safe, including the officers who are searching the buildings. As soon as the information is relayed to us, we relay it on to communications and marketing, as well as speak with our counterparts in emergency management services, and we get the information out as quickly as we can, as much information as possible. There are certain elements of an investigation that we may need to keep close to our chest, we may not need to or want to release at the particular time, but as soon as we get the information available, then we're going to give it out to them.
Chief, how quickly were you opened up? How quickly were you able to open up your own EOC today?
Almost immediately. Almost immediately. When we got the information on our computer-aided dispatch system, the CAD system, we were duplicated the card to us, saying this incident occurred near the university property. So at that point in time, we started noting the executive leadership team. We started notifying folks in the Emergency Operations Center or to activate the EOC. And so it was pretty much immediate response. And we've been in constant communication with them throughout the period.
Okay, thank you for your time.
What about the grid search? Did you guys?
All right, we're going to go ahead and leave this as we have heard the resolution of this story, a very encouraging one, a lot of relief among all of us in our community. Just to wrap up, for those of you who may be catching us near the end here, we were quite concerned about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, because of an initial report of a potential gunman or someone who appeared to be an armed threat near or on the UTC campus. As Chief David Roddy just explained, rumors started expanding and growing. and they were able to check everything out. UTC and the Chattanooga Police Department do drills constantly on responding to potential emergencies, so they were ready for this one. Some people feel like they didn't get enough information in a timely fashion, but they wanted to make sure that the situation was clear. They searched the campus, they searched the building in question, and as you may have heard, the determination was that the suspicious person who had been called in turned out to be a Chattanooga Police Department officer who apparently had just ended his shift and was returning his gear to his vehicle or toward his home. That information from Chief Bob Radford and Chattanooga Police Chief David Roddy. So all is clear at UTC, everybody's safe, things will go back to normal. Our thanks to all of you who stayed with this story and who were able to help us relay accurate information. And as always, we encourage you to say something when you see something, but as Chief Roddy said, try to keep it as accurate as possible so that people don't begin to stretch these stories out of proportion. Everything's back to normal at UTC. We are grateful and thankful for that. We'll have more on this story and the other news of the day starting first at 4 here on Channel 3. I'm David Carroll. We'll go back to our regular programming.